I think I have like three chunks. Yeah, because this is the introduction. Here describes the model, and this is the conclusion. I think.
Okay, do you understand what she's saying?
Could you tell us where you drew the lines, like after each paragraph?
Where did you draw the second line?
Put your paper so they can see it. Move your book back.
Okay, I put here because in here it starts talking about the conclusion. It's not talking anymore about how the model is structured. I see that.
So you put it before. Okay, that's what you put.
Okay, now turn back to the first line.
The model analyzes scenario values. Oh, never mind.
To your first line.
Okay.
Okay, and so go ahead.
Oh, for what?
Your first line.
Oh yeah. Here. So.
Now, you're suggesting that there are no subsections. This is strictly analysis of the model.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
So where I drew the line, the chunk, was where it said, "Let us calibrate the perimeters of this specific case," because to me that sounded like they were going into right here. Sorry, from the top of the page.
Let us calibrate.
Yeah, from there, because from here it starts going into the predator-prey model, and we had just finished looking at the vampire-human model.
Oh wait, but so you're thinking that this diagram is not related to the equations?
Yeah, I'm not thinking this is related to this because this is a different model.
Oh, because I thought that the equations were meant to explain the diagram. There was a relation.
These are explaining the predator-prey model, and the rest of this is explaining the human-vampire interaction. So that's why I drew the line right there.
Okay, tell me why.
The first one, we chunked it because it's referring to like novels that shows examples of vampires existing in those ones.
Okay.
And then the second one, because it's talking about this model.
Okay.
So basically it's introducing the diagram, and it talks about that.
And what
diagram.
exactly is the model that it's introducing?
The Harris Mears model.
Okay.
It talks about H and V, what it denotes as, and then so we chunked it off there because this section talks about this model.
Or that function.
Or that function. What do you mean that function? What do you do with a function?
Plug in data?
But no, that's right. So we've gone from giving you the parameters, and now we're taking those parameters, and now we're plugging them into that
Oh, they are
function. Well, not necessarily, because on one hand, I'm telling you what they are. On the other hand, let us calibrate the parameters of the specific case of predatory prey model. And then where do we go from there?
Into another one.
another two figures.
Okay, but what are they there for? So you've drawn a line here. The model allows for a stationary solution. There are system parameters that would stabilize the populations of human and vampires in time. In order to find the stabilized population of both, that says species, that means species, blank, 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 and blank. Okay, now what's happening in the next section then?
Is this like the calculations over time? And it shows like data.
Final results.
Okay. So where are my final results then?
This graph right here.
Okay, well, nobody wants to look at graphs. Find somewhere in the text that tells me what my final results are.
This is 6.2 billion people in 2065.
These numbers are
Okay.
talking about this, and it says it's gonna continue on.
Ooh. All right then. And where am I concluding? Or are we reaching any conclusions?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why we chunked it off right here. Because we feel like this is the conclusion.
Okay, go ahead.
Now I remember.
Okay,
I
now,
was talking about like TV series using vampires, yeah.
okay, so then how does this information in that first paragraph connect with what you've got here to justify that being one section?
I guess it was answering like the question as shown in the recent Hollywood blockbusters by Timur, and I can't say
Him.
Yeah, him.
Okay.
Where it's in like movies like that showed vampires.
And it gave an example in this, I guess, the second paragraph of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which goes back to
Hollywood.
it goes back to Hollywood TV.
I think he was talking about how the media included vampires. So that's why when it mentions Buffy and Resident Evil, like movies and shows, that's how it connected.
Okay, now the fact that that second paragraph begins, the answer might lie in the existence of effective vampire slayers. Does that connect it to the previous paragraph, or does it separate it from the previous paragraph?
No, if you put it that way, it separates it because it talks about the movie.
It's a question and answer, right? So this
Okay.
is a question that they're asking, and then they answer it
Yeah.
with evidence.
Okay,
So that's not connected.
But wouldn't it
Okay.
be this? Okay, so if this is the question and the top one answers it, wouldn't the next paragraph be the example?
is it the example? The answer might lie in the existence of effective vampire slayers. Vampires are similar to an infectious disease and should be eliminated quickly and without mercy in order not to cause a world pandemic, as shown in the recent work of Stryle, the creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, presents the most simplistic yet the most dreadful doomsday scenario of vampire-human interaction. Are we still talking about the same thing?
The creator of Buffy the Vampire. No, it's talking about a different TV series, right?
Okay, so when we talk about the recent work of Strelkowski, Listen, and Wilkins, we're not necessarily, and it says 22, so what does 22 refer to?
The page.
What does that 22 in brackets refer to?
The reference.
And what's in 22?
It says Strelkowski and Listen and Wilkins, Dynamics of Growth and Human Population, the Effect of Infectious Disease, Social and Natural Science Journal, Volume 5, 2012.
Okay, so now we go from looking at the question to looking at the answer and then to talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Are we still talking about the same thing?
No, because of the reference right here.
Okay.
23 also, right?
But isn't the answer talking about effective vampire slayers, and then Buffy is a vampire slayer, right?
Buffy is indeed a vampire slayer.
So these are connected. Then
In that, Michaela, your question was whether or not if the first paragraph posed a question and the second paragraph gave you an answer, shouldn't the third paragraph give you an example? Is that what you're looking at?
yeah.
Okay.